What is going on, yo? It is your boy Gaddis Status, aka Gaddis TV. We are live and direct. Episode 22, now live with the ThugBirdz Podcast. We got Soul Dogs NFT on here. So first off, I want to give him a shout out for coming on. And before we get us started or anything like that, do yourself a favor. If you got an iPhone or an Android, go to the App Store and or the Play Store, download FTX app. Stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrency and NFTs. And without further ado, I'm your host, like I said, Gaddis TV. Thank you very much for coming in, tuning in, showing some love. And like I said, let's get to it. So, thank you very much, Sly. We're live and direct. So, first off, I want to say thank you very much for coming in and taking some time out of your morning. Where you at? You said it was the morning time. So first off, shout out. Thank you for that. And really just, I guess, one, if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself, introduce the project Soul Dogs, and really what we're doing before the whole crypto scene.
Yeah, cool. So thanks for having me on, guys. Love the podcast. Love what you guys are doing. And thanks for everyone listening, taking time out of their day to come hang out for this chat. Yeah, so a bit about Soul Dogs. Soul Dog was really born out of a desire to inspire people to do more, to create more, and explore new digital worlds. I think where we're at is that, broadly based on the sort of ever-increasing adoption of just blockchain, and I've been in this space for almost 8 years, and we see crypto, obviously adoption there growing massively fast, and adoption of VR and AR tech, which we see coming out quite quickly. I think there's really just an explosion of innovation sort of centered around this new paradigm of embracing digital communities and sort of embracing the borderless future. And so our vision at Soul Dogs is really to embrace that as well. Our first collection is a collection of Soul Dogs avatar NFTs. These are high quality 3D art inspired by retro art, music, fashion, and cinema. And our vision for the project really is to build what we're calling Soul Dog City. And this is a 3D metaverse that will really become the gateway to a sort of decentralized world and a place where people can come to express themselves, have meaningful experiences, and become part of a really vibrant and diverse community. So our vision at Soul Dogs is really big, and our first step to achieving that and going forward there is launching what we think to be a super high quality 3D NFT collection inspired and paying homage to the amazing retro culture that all inspires us today as well.
Nice. Was there I guess I see the play on the Soul Dogs on there. Was there, I guess, a reason for a particular dog on that one, or just like the vibe on it, or what was the, I guess?
Yeah. So so the Soul Dogs themselves. So our team is comprised of people across the world from different backgrounds, from different culture, and we were sort of jamming on different ideas and concepts that we wanted to bring into the market, to bring into the world, and what we landed on was this idea of what inspires us. And we're all really inspired by a lot of the music culture that preceded where we are today, going through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, as well as art and fashion and cinema. I think what we're seeing is a lot of homage to the pop culture past that informs what we're doing today in terms of the culture that we see growing and culture that we see that's popular today. So we saw that as really a good idea, and all of us, we're we're sort of we're audiophiles. We listen to a ton of music. We're record collectors. So where that came from, we were like, you know what's missing in this space is like, we're seeing a lot of collections. They're cool. They're they seem like they have a nice direction, but what's missing is this kind of soul, right? And so we were like, and we were already on Solana. We're big Solana people. So this idea of soul and Solana kind of came together. And then the doggos, I think it was a simple decision. It was like, everyone loves dogs, right? Like we were like, the crypto space is the most friendly dog space in the world, right? And we all are dog owners, and so we were like, imagine a world where we had super soulful, hip, retro dogs living in a digital world, and that was what sort of inspired us to sort of come up with the direction, the creative direction, and the vision, and sort of the brand for Soul Dogs.
Nice. When I guess did it come into fruitation on that one? Like, what have you been thinking about this for? I guess, like you said, a long time, because you said you've been in the crypto scene for a minute. When did you first think about it, and how long did it take to actually get in place?
Yeah, so a bit of background on our team and myself. So as I mentioned, our team is sort of distributed across the globe. We have our talented designers, Bruno and Philo. Bruno's Brazilian. This dude blows you away with the stuff he can do in Blender, which is crazy. Philo is French. He's in Paris. Smooth ass Paris cat. Parisian, and he's an amazing 3D designer. And so our designers are fantastic. And then we have Hachiko and Leica, who are out on the West Coast in U.S. and they're awesome. You know, Hachiko is the sort of lead dev. He's got 10 years experience in software dev and leads a game studio out there. And Leica is just a fantastic product mind. Has worked in some of the massive product companies. And myself, I've also been I come from the East Coast, outside the Boston area. So I grew up around tech my whole life. Really have been, always in sort of the forefront of playing around with what can and can't be done. Even when I was in my early teens, I won our state's robotics competition. I was always building different things, different this and that, and so always really been into tech. And our whole team has been into builders for the majority of their lives. And when it comes to crypto, I got into crypto 2013. I think some folks remember Silk Road. That was my introduction into the crypto space. Shout out Ross, free Ross. That's where I bought my first Bitcoin. I probably have a few paper wallets hanging around with a few $100,000 on it now with some Bitcoin. But I think I was buying Bitcoin then at like $60 or something, right?
Nice.
And that's
strong.
that's what introduced me to the crypto space, and I've been sort of noodling around the space ever since, working in the industry as well as working for larger tech companies here in the U.S. and in Asia as well.
Question on that one. Did you ever think something like what's happening now in the whole crypto scene, stuff like that, was always gonna be happening back then? Or, I mean, I'm sure it probably wasn't like what you were thinking of at that time, but did you ever see like, damn, this could be something even back then?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I remember the first time reading the Bitcoin white paper and being like, wow, this is going to change the world, without a doubt. And then, going and through university, I actually studied economics as well as entrepreneurship and marketing. And so that was a point where I just realized that, what was being proposed by Satoshi was revolutionary in terms of this idea of a trustless system that's completely on chain, right, and completely decentralized. It fundamentally is a paradigm shift, right? And follow on that, you have a lot of academics who have explored, and obviously in the 10 years plus after that, the applications leading up to where we're at with all the layer one change, obviously with smart contracts coming from Vitalik, and then where we're at today with Solana, looking at, hey, the future is, say putting Twitter on Solana, right, on chain. How do we handle 5,000 transactions in a second, right? And I could sort of see this coming, because what's really the driver of this in my mind is that, at one point over the past 20 years, we kind of gave the internet away, right? We kind of gave the internet away we traded the internet for some shiny things to the Googles, to the Facebooks of the world, and what we're seeing
for
now
our data. We traded our data.
Yeah, we didn't know, right? It's almost one of those trades back when the native tribes were approached by the settlers in Manhattan and were like, hey, here's some beads, and we're gonna take your land. And like, yeah, like we like beads. And
that's a good comparison. That's pretty. Yeah, I've never heard it like that.
I think that's exactly where what happened, and we're realizing that now, right? Once we see, we look over the fence and see, or hey, they've sort of built everything that was ours, and that's why I think what people are gravitating towards this space, regardless if they realize that or not, is because when you're interacting on chain, and even within communities, I should say, you're not interacting with this faceless, nameless company, right? You're interacting with real people. So behind every Avi, behind every community is real people, and they're building, right? One thing I love about your podcast, and I think I love about the space, and your podcast captures that well, is you're bringing on folks like myself and others who are just people building what we see as the future that we want, right? Not going to work for a company and having a PR press release talking for us, right? So I kind of saw this, to answer your question, I saw this sort of coming, and that's why I've been super bullish on the space overall. At one point, a few years back, 2016, I went to move to Asia and worked in a centralized exchange here for a number of years. And then past few years, I actually went and worked for one of the biggest tech companies here in Southeast Asia. And now I'm just sort of, still obviously involved in this space. This isn't my first project. I've worked in token projects previously, as well as did an NFT project on a BSC earlier last year. Too early on BSC, unfortunately, right? The place never picked up. Uncle CZ needs to give us a little bit more juice on the NFT space there, but no, Solana is really where, that's where we gravitated towards Solana. I mean, seeing obviously what Sam and the team is doing at FTX is great. And I think what Anatoly and the team have built on Solana, it's perfect sort of a match in terms of providing a decentralized infrastructure to handle high transaction rate, and something that a place you can really build. I feel sort of unconstrained in our vision. Working in BSC and working on ETH previously, you feel those constraints to some degree around cost and feasibility. Solana, obviously, feasibility is yet to be proven, but in certain areas around gaming and integrations. But then the chain itself has the capability to do that. So yeah, overall, I'm a bit verbose at times, guys. So please jump in. Let me know if you want to chat. But that's what.
No, it's fine.
It's
been I don't think we've had too many people on here that come from like pre-2015. A lot of people that came into the space like 2017 and past, past 2017, like till now, don't really know like the origins of crypto, kind of like if they weren't around, right? And like it was a way different space back then. I'm pretty sure you can vouch for that. It's just like a lot of people won't understand, like when they hear like people talking about criminals using and stuff like that, like it makes no sense to them because all they know is Coinbase on the App Store, and it's like how could what, this is harmless, what do you mean? But back then it was like people were buying cocaine, acid, and fucking like guns and shit with Bitcoin.
That's all you hear. Even this Squid Game rug. It's like, man, I don't know if like I can probably find a rug happening right now if you want to find a rug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they literally, the media picks up, and that's kind of their job is to sell headlines, right? And so I understand that. And what we're doing in this space is challenging the status quo, right? And anytime you do that, you're going to run into resistance. And I think the best part about this, I imagine how many times this space has been tried to be killed. I mean, how much FUD exists.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's just the nature of the game we play. But the part is, again, it's just people. Like, that's the best part about the decentralized nature of what's happening, right? It's just people behind these obbies. It's just people, learning to code, right? It's just people talking to each other, right? And so that, to me, is our second chance at sort of taking back the internet, right? And I'm a big proponent of this idea of self-sovereign identity, which is, you own your data, you own all of your assets, all of your infrastructure is yours, right? I have my own personal server at my house, where I actually host most of my data because I just think that's the future that makes sense for me, and I think it's a future that will be embraced. And so pre 2015, like even pre smart contracts, it was kind of like, what does Bitcoin do, right? And it, from the outside looking in, if you didn't read white papers, if you didn't look at what Vitalik was speaking about smart contracts, you wouldn't realize that this can fundamentally change markets from insurance to lending to gaming, right?
Everything. And now they're freaking out because they're late. They're not early.
Exactly.
And they're trying to make laws. They're like, oh fuck, we're so fucking late.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, you see this, I think we're coming up to this point as well, as it's going to be a David versus Goliath story where you have Meta now, right? Where, you have Microsoft who are coming into the space, and it's not a bad thing per se. I'm not sort of absolute in my thinking on that, but we have to sort of learn from our mistakes to some degree and not, make the same mistake twice where we give the internet away again, right? Where we give the metaverse 100%. Or whatever the sort of a permutation of that comes in different forms. It's and the key here is data, right?
And I don't think that's gonna happen again because like they're trying to build. It seems like every company is trying to build their own metaverse, and it's like, guys, that's kind of cringe, bro, because we kind of already did. And we're just kind of building over here, vibing on Solana, just chilling, doing what you guys are like allocating billions of dollars to produce when we've already done it. But the only difference between our version and yours is that yours is monetized to line your pockets. And I think everyone can kind of see through that now. And and I hope that the trend continues, because I feel this kind of like this self-identification, this self-sovereignty like movement happening, and it's pretty cool to be a part of that too. Like even just using like DeFi and yielding USDC like 5 times more than my bank can ever imagine doing.
For real.
Exactly. What I mean? So that's when I read. I think there's a really cool paper I'd recommend folks to read to just sort of understand this space. I gotta remember the name of but the paper is titled "The Simple Economics of Blockchain," right? And it's by an MIT professor. I think his name is Christian Cristaldi. And that paper is like only 7 pages. It is a fantastic paper written in pretty layman's terms around why blockchain and decentralization is going to disrupt everything. And the piece that stands out the most, I think, is this idea that, what's happening overall in the systems that have been created is they've been built to extract value for a small set of actors, right? Banks, insurance, whatever, right? Where that efficiency that they've built is for their benefit, where the efficiency that we're building now is for users' benefit, is for all our benefit. And that's why you're seeing, when we talk about lending or or whatnot, or gaining or yield farming, you can get 7, 5, 6, 7% back on your yield on your assets, purely because it's more efficient system, and there's no sort of middleman to sort of rake in
just skimming,
that
man.
margin.
They're skimming the top.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So that's it. I mean, we could talk for a long time about the.
Let's get back to your
that I've seen,
NFT
man.
project. The dogs are pretty good. Tell us a little about the dogs, bro.
Yeah. So I think the lead question here was, how do we get into this space? So I think what all of that stuff is context, right? I think what our team is sort of at the sort of foundation of what we're thinking is, we are in the sort of David versus Goliath battle that we don't know yet, but we need to have builders out there building these spaces, right? And what we're trying to do is build a proof of concept in reality, right? Metaverse isn't sort of defined today, aside from this sort of ethereal idea of a virtual world, right? And we see some really interesting projects like Decentraland, right, building pretty advanced, I would say advanced in terms of on-chain digital worlds, right? There's another project on Ethereum called Aether, ATHER, Aether City, which is inspiration for us as well. And Aether City, they built one of the first metaverses, which was a 3D world you could actually sort of interact with. And they were one of the first metaverses in 2017 on Ethereum. So yeah, they're a really cool project to check out. I'm really big in sort of the historical NFT space, because I think just the builders in those early days were pioneers, right? Figuring out, what the space could sort of evolve into. And so Aether City is one of our inspirations as well. And, what we see is we want to have a proof of concept. We want to come to the end of our roadmap. We have 3 phases. And get to a proof of concept that can we actually build like a digital city, a digital community that's self-governed, that has an economic system with a native token, and then has this aspect of community around characters and profiles, right? And
for a question on sorry to cut you off on that one.
No, go for it.
But on the phases, I saw phase 2 earlier, phase 1. What are the phases? And where are you in the steps on
sure.
What phase are you on?
Yeah, so I think success for us is really defined as becoming one of the top metaverses on Solana within the next, right? And we can accomplish that through a few ways. The first is community building, right? Creating and growing an inclusive and collaborative, sort of forward-thinking community of like-minded individuals, like yourself, like me, like the community that we're building on our Discord. It's amazing. We started last week. We're at 1.7K Discord members, pure organic, no bots, nothing like that, right? And community building is the backbone of this space, right? It's just people building, people interacting. The next piece that will make us successful is world building. World building, as I mentioned a bit before, is really what we're going to be focusing on post mint of our first collection, and we're already focused on it now. But that's really where the project shifts to outside of the avatar collection. And then the last piece here is making sure it's a fantastic user experience, right? I think that's one of the pieces that brought us to Solana is the overall user experience on Solana. I think, bar none, better than any other chain, right? I mean,
100%.
Just like I saw Phantom Wallet. I got to meet the Phantom guys. I haven't met them before. I'd love to do the Phantom Wallet. I was like, man, finally somebody fucking gets it. Like, how are you going to launch like a L1 chain and have a wallet that looks like it was built in 2002? You know what I mean? It's
man, the Solid? You're talking about Solid?
Solid, but Solid, yeah, exactly, Solid. But thank God Phantom came on Solana. But you have other chains. I don't want to name and shame, but you look at Dot, you look at others. It's like, man, like I love what you guys are doing out there, but I can't interact with
this
your
is very
product.
AOL fucking
Yeah,
vibes,
so
dude.
guys, like, have you ever heard of Dribble? Just go on Dribble and like send 5 DMs on designers on Dribble, and you'll get some good UX. Like, I don't get it. So
Yeah.
So that's where it's at. So for us, I mean, our roadmap is broken into 3 phases, and it's pretty ambitious, right? I mean, we're talking about a pretty ambitious project, but to kick things off, we're introducing the Soul Dogs collection in phase 1, and that's to build the foundations of our metaverse and our community. And in the second phase, we'll be introducing a Genesis collection of digital land and utility in the form of yield farming and staking. So the digital land, we're going to have our second collection, which is 3D digital dog houses. And those dog houses would actually be generative 3D collection, which is another ambitious sort of project. We see projects out there like TowerDAO who have done something quite similar, but we're actually trying to create a full, house, a rendered 3D, in 3 dimensions. And we have a fantastic design team ready. And then the last phase 3, is to sort of expand the voices, Soul Dog City, DAO governance, customization, more collections, perhaps collaborations, and collections to add as characters in Soul Dog City. So that's the sort of three phases. Phase one is where we're at. So that's really what we focus on now. We're building this 3D generative art collection. The art, as you can see, I mean, I'm always blown away about what Philo can do. I mean, our team is fantastic. You know, we actually are bringing on a third designer now who, man, his portfolio in architecture is next level. So really what we're focusing on is not only just providing fantastic art and sort of leveling up on the art, but also in terms of the community building and the collection itself. We're taking a different approach in terms of how we're going to launch our collection. The collection itself sits today at 10K, and this is a question that comes up quite a bit in our Discord. You know, given the bear market and where we're at today, a lot of people are like, hey, you know, the collection's too big. And we totally get that, right? Again, if you think about where we're at in the space, and if you look, you know, take a macro, you know, what we see with projects doing the best is actually the best projects are actually have quite large collections, right? You have Rogue Sharks, you have Pesky Penguins, you have Jungle Cats, right? And that's on Solana, but ETH, again, the best collections have large mint sizes, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason why that works is because you want to make an inclusive community. You want to provide access to a lot of folks, right? And so that's why we're sitting at the 10K collection mark. We're happy to listen to the community and lower that should need be. But our goal is, you know, in 6 months' time, we want to have as many as possible, right? And so that's where that's what.
If there's anything wrong with 10,000 mints, I actually, I was talking about this with someone the other day that 10,000 really isn't that big of a number in the grand scheme of things. And if you can grow a community, right, in the long term, like, and gather 10,000 people that like are kind of like like-minded, like it's really not that many people, like especially if this whole thing grows into what we're all speculating it will. So there's nothing wrong with 10,000, and
yeah, I think
it's like you said, it keeps the access nice and low. Usually, sometimes, at least for the first little while, for people to hop in if they really like the project, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're doing. I think we're taking more of a macro. But we'll listen to the community on this one and see if it makes sense. So that's where we're at in terms of the number of the collection itself, right? In terms of how we're actually looking to, I was
gonna say, how much are y'all thinking the mint will be? Or I mean, of course, it sounds like it's still early in the whole process. What
So we haven't announced the mint price yet. What we're doing is we're taking an approach that I think is different than. So I think one is we're the first 3D dog project on Solana. So we're going to be the first to do a lot of things, right? But the other piece here is that we developed. We're going to be the first project to do an on-chain whitelist, and what we've done is we've just dropped. I don't know if you can show it, right? But we just dropped our mint pass, right? And if you see this mint pass, man, again, I told you,
I think it was
art is next level. So we've actually want to be the first project on Solana to do an on-chain.
That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, on-chain whitelist where we built a smart contract, which we'll actually open source post mint, right? And we want to give this to the Solana community. Where we'll have a pre-sale contract that actually will only allow holders of the Soul Dogs Mint Pass to actually be able to mint during our pre-sale. In our pre-sale, we've already minted 1,000 Soul Dog Mint Passes. The first 500 members of our Discord, we're giving them out to our OG dogs. So the first 500 members of our Discord automatically became OG dogs. They've already gotten their Mint Passes. And then we're running a few different ways for folks in the community to win OG Dogs role, as well as our Mint Pass. And you can do that through inviting folks to the community. You can do that through just being active in our Discord. And then we're also doing a number of giveaways each day for folks who are just there and active and around. So that Mint Pass is really something that we're just really proud of. I think it's a good way for us to sort of get into sort of launching our collection early. We want to reward the community of our early supporters. And that Mint Pass will actually be the ticket, sort of VIP ticket to all of our future Mint drops. So it's not just the utility for our first collection, but it will actually be utility throughout the Soul Dog City metaverse. So that's a first for I think in the space that we're doing, at least to our knowledge and building, and that's how we're approaching the pre-sale of our first collection.
The art looks really, really, really good. Gaddis just has it pulled up on screen. This literally looks like something like I could like pull off a shelf
and take it off
the shelf at Walmart and go and pay for it. Like There's a
Quality.
lot of 3D art floating around on the NFT space, and this is like probably the best I've seen. I'm not gonna lie. This looks
I
really
appreciate
good.
that.
Even
Yeah, I
the
appreciate that.
little things like, I mean, I don't know if you can see it from like their screen on there, but like if you're ever on it, like the background, you can see like it literally curves with it. It's not just like a straight 90 degrees.
It looks
which-
like it's real.
which is
Like
top-
it looks
yeah,
like it's a real
everything.
thing. It looks
Yeah.
good.
No, our
Um,
designers, low key. I mean, they've worked on some big movie projects. They've worked on the Minions with with DreamWorks.
It shows for
it-
sure. It looks like that type of quality. It looks like
Yeah.
like a Pixar movie thing.
So what
Yeah.
got, and you can't speak for them, but what got them interested in working with your project? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
so,
just
so we
happens
so we have a
to
background
live?
a bit.
Got
Like, all the team, you know how the space kind of works, right? You
For
you meet
sure.
different people. Some friends are friends IRL, some are different groups. So, I actually worked with our designers previously,
Nice.
on projects, and not also IRL and campaigns, because I found them a couple years back, and the head of their agency is a really good buddy of mine. And so I just met them, and we jived because they're dudes, and the work just blew me away, right? So I was always in touch with them, recommending them to folks, just in the space, regardless of crypto or not, because the work is just top notch. And then so that's what sort of connected us, and in that time, I got getting to know Bruce Vila. I mean, I've always been in crypto, so I was always that guy, that crypto guy talking about, hey,
Put it
shit's
in
gonna
your
pop.
ear.
Yep. And so, just as soon as I started talking about that, they're like, this is cool. They're builders, right? And so they're
For
like, and especially with the NFT space exploding, after DeFi summer last year, right? Starting in January of this year, NFT space, that is sort of was an invitation for artists to come into the space, right? And these guys have been also building a lot of and developing NFTs across different chains and launching different collections. So they're also really deep in the space too. So it was a great match overall.
Nice. Couple more questions because we are getting closer to the 30-minute mark. And we're not gonna stop right at 30 minutes, so it's not like a T-minus anything. For the bones, you see on there the bones tokens. What are the bones tokens? What do they do? How do you acquire them?
Yeah, so it's still early days. I mean, so the Bones token is planned to be the utility token, native utility token of Soul Dog City, right? And the utility here will be used to customize your soul dogs or dog houses and for future DAO voting rights. And so the way that the Bones token actually, how you interact with it is, dog houses, when we have our dog house drop, right? Dog houses themselves would be able to generate income in the form of bones when you put them up for rent, right? And that would be by staking your dog house, right? So when you're renting it out, you earn bones. Soul dogs could also earn income in the form of bones when you send them to work, and work would be staking as well, right? So anytime you send a soul dog to work, they're also generating bones, right? And if you have a dog house and you have a dog soul dog, you'll get a 2x, right? On terms of, because you have the house, you got the dog, they're working hard, you're making rent, it's gonna work out. So so the Bones token, that's sort of how we're building it into the utility of the city. In terms of the ability and details on it, we're a bit too early to give details on maybe supply and what we're going to do in terms of the launch of that token. But we really want to build. One of our team members here, Leica, came from a DeFi background, so we see the sort of next phase of this NFT space evolving, incorporating utility around DeFi and some of the elements we see around yield farming, staking, and perhaps even other sort of exploratory areas of decentralized finance. So we want to build that in and explore as well with Dog City, and the Bones token, our vehicle to do that. We are talking with legal counsel already around Bones, around the DAO structure. Still a bit early, right? But we want to get ahead of that. So can't really speak too much in terms of details yet. But that's the plan in terms of where we're at in our thinking.
Nice. Another question, because we've really asked almost all the projects that came on, and y'all's might be a little different since you got maybe I won't say stronger, but stronger backgrounds than some of the other people. It sounds like you do from our conversations.
Yeah, all good.
What I guess what hiccups, what problems have y'all had on the way? If y'all have had any, and I guess what are some ways that y'all are hoping to overcome them?
Yeah, man. No, I know you asked this question. It's a great question. I mean, and of course, I mean, no matter what you do, you're gonna find challenges. Well, how you can, right? I think the piece that all of our backgrounds as entrepreneurs, we're used to running into these roadblocks, and in fact, it's probably our fault for putting ourselves in situations where we're trying to do things that are difficult to do. But specifically within this project, I think there's a few things I can call out, and I think they've been called out by previous guests project and listening to the Rust Spots the episode. Shout out to those guys. We have a planned collaboration with them as well coming up. It looks absolutely fantastic. So they're great guys. We're looking forward to working with them. But they mentioned this idea of the cold start problem, right? Our background and our team is we're from the sort of tech startup world, and the cold start problem is how do you get from 0 to 1, first sort of followers, first sort of traction. And in the space, they mentioned before. I mean, you look at our art, you look at Rust Spots, it's fantastic. If this came out, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, it could be without a doubt simple to market, right? But now what's being the challenge is actually getting that attention, and because there's so much noise in the space. And I think we sort of prepared ourselves for that, trying the difficulties of marketing the collection in sort of a market with a lot of noise. And our way through it is to sort of be patient, just keep delivering, right? And grow your community organically. We're excited when we get 10, 15 followers. Excited when
sure.
15 people in Discord, right? We're in our Discord talking to everybody. We want to meet people, talk to people. So the hard part is that cold start getting us up. And I think we're just sort of crossing that barrier here in terms of getting to in the Discord coming up on and really getting past it. So challenge there, I guess, in the past or week and a half has just been being patient and knowing that it's tough to get that traction. I think the second challenge, which we're still is actually just the build. I mean, what we're doing is, aside from the generative collection of Soul Dogs, what we're targeting to build is this really ambitious 3D interactive 3D world, right? And it's also generative dog houses. We're looking at the design system ability. So you had Levi Cook on your show as well. I mean, we're talking to him. He's been a great person to chat with around feasibility of what we're trying to build. And so that's the cool part is, we have people helping us through some of these challenges. And so the next one, is just the ability in the building of this 3D world and how it can render in a, we'll say high quality way, but there are limitations on chain what you can do in terms of rendering of say 4,000 to 10,000, different.
Say the last part one more time. Sorry, the microphone's going in and out a little bit. You're just saying, certain
the rendering of the city, rendering of 4,000 to 10,000 plus individual units to be rendered into, I'd say, rendered into city, and actually be able to explore and interact with it. To do that on web, there are limitations to, right? And we just saw the announcement, which was great, out of Breakpoint, that Render Labs, I think they're called, or Render Studios. I mean, they're going to be working with Solana to provide some computational power to help build the metaverse. So we're going to reach out to them. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely challenges along the way, little hiccups here and there. But it's, sort of builders, we're used to it. You just gotta, have a stiff upper lip and.
I missed the last part. I heard you got to have a step upper lip. I think that's what you were stopping on.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Right, step upper lip and then work through it. Yeah.
100%. Kind of, I guess, realistically, kind of like last question. Were there any, I guess, points that I haven't, or maybe not points, but questions, or something that you do want to bring up that y'all are excited about, or want the community to know that I haven't, I guess, asked yet? What would that be?
Yeah, I think the thing is, first one, I want to thank everyone who's joined our community so far. I mean, it's amazing to see the initial sort of feedback we've gotten on the collection. I think we've done a lot of DMing to folks in the space. The cool part about this space is you can kind of meet your heroes, right? They're just people, so you can always DM, talk to people, your heroes in the space, which is cool. And behind the Avi, they're just a dude or a chick who's doing the same thing, right? And working. So I just want to thank all those folks for helping. The next thing I would say to the community is that we're early. We have an ambitious roadmap, and we're really looking forward to sort of working together as a community to get there. Where we're at now is we've dropped our mint pass on Magic Eden. Our mint pass is live. I think the floor is somewhere around 0.3, 0.5, floating between there, which is great. We'll be dropping mint passes over the next two weeks or so, continuously till we hit that 1,000 mark. And then the next phase here will be launching to the sale and the mint for our Soul Dogs collection. So definitely there's still time. Everyone listen to this, depending on when you're listening. Still early. So please, hop into the Discord, follow us on Twitter, drop us a line, chat with us, talk to us. We'd love to meet you and welcome you to Soul Dog City.
Nice. And if you are listening, you can find them on Twitter at Soul Dogs NFT. And they have their link in the Discord as well. So you heard them, hit a follow on the Twitter as well as the Discord. Show them some love as well. On that note, we're going to go ahead and end it up here. I'm going to put myself on mute really quick. Sly, if you don't mind, stay for a quick second. But overall, thank you for honestly coming in, taking some time out of your morning, telling the community and people what's going on with you, the group, the project, and Soul Dog.
Yeah.
So honestly, man, thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate both you guys. Cheers.
Definitely. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what time it is. The end of the podcast. Thank you once again. If you're not already, you heard it. Follow Soul Dogs NFT and go ahead and follow ThugBirdz, ThugDAO, and ThugBirdz Pod. And do yourself a favor, hit a follow on YouTube and Twitch as well. On that note, stay fresh, stay clean, stay positive. Caw-caw! Till next time, y'all.